Welcome back to part 7 of Oak Trees Could Talk. I hope that you have pulled you up a chair and have a cup of coffee or a glass of sweet tea in hand. Come along with me as I finish reading in Chapter 3, Henry's Homework, and began in Chapter 4, Daddy's Little Girl. Now, Henry was never what one would call religious. However, when you are in such darkness as Henry had been in, he realized that he needed help outside of himself to come out of the darkness. He never questioned if there was a God, for his mother shared God with him at a very early age. He always thought it strange that of all the memories that were lost to him, that the ones his mama shared with him about God had never left either. And then there was his sweet Helen, who was a strong believer in God and always told Henry that only God could help him now. He never questioned God as to why he was in the darkness, for he knew he had not lived a perfect life. However, he did finally come to God and realize that God was the light in the darkness. He never blamed God for what had happened to him. Instead, as Henry began to talk with God, he came to know him and knew that God was with him. When the memories of the old oak tree started coming together to make sense, Henry somehow knew that God was using his old friend to bring back what he had lost over the past few months. The fact that God was using a tree to help Henry might have seemed strange again to other people, but not to Henry. After all, Henry reasoned, if God used a tree to save the whole world, then why couldn't he use another tree to help save him? Henry found himself frantically writing down the memories as they came, but his stiff hands were cramping under the pressure that he demanded of them. Laboring, Henry had several full pages that he had accomplished. They held precious memories that Henry refused to lose again. He determined to read them over and over until they were permanently fixed in the right time and place in his life. It was as though he were learning a new language. He spoke out the words aloud so that he could hear his own voice speak them. Finally, when Henry felt confident that he had them in place, he opened a drawer in a small bedside table and placed his treasures inside. Chapter 4, Daddy's Little Girl. Mr. Tyler, your daughter's here to see you. Are you awake, Mr. Tyler? Nurse Wanda called to Henry as she raised his window shade to let the warm sunny rays shine into his room. Come on, sleepyhead, time to rise and shine, the nurse continued. Hello, Daddy, it's me, Amelia. Do you know who I am today? Amelia questioned cautiously. Amelia remembered the last time she had visited her dad. He became so disoriented that she had to leave because she couldn't stand to see him in such a state. Henry thought that she was her mother, Helen, which he often thought. When Amelia could not answer a question that Henry asked her about when he and her mother had met, Henry became silent and either refused to talk or couldn't talk with her any longer. Amelia was heartbroken to see her daddy in such a state. Amelia was Henry and Helen's only child. She indeed favored her mother. She was breathtakingly beautiful, just like her mother Helen was at her age. Amelia had smooth ivory skin and luscious, rich, long blonde hair. Her brilliant blue eyes had a glint that danced when she smiled. Yes, she looked just like Helen, the one and only true love of her father. Henry and Helen didn't hold anything back when it came to Amelia. She had everything that her heart desired, but yet she grew up with great values of what was important and what wasn't. Every day of Amelia's life she saw what real love looked like. Her parents were passionately in love, even after many years of marriage. They acted as though they were still teenagers. They laughed with one another and held one another's hands constantly. They were always tenderly touching one another, whether it was Helen patting Henry's hand or Henry gently pushing Helen's beautiful long hair away from her face. As Amelia watched her parents, she would often find herself smiling, shaking her head and desperately hoping that she could find love like that someday. I hope that you enjoyed our time together this week as much as I did. There's nothing like a great friend or company to spend time with. Please come back next week and tune in for more of If Oak Trees Could Talk. If you would like to know where to find this book as well as the others I've published, please go to either my video blog or my Amazon author page at Gilliam Hornback. I've included both of the links. Have a blessed week.